अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहु। सुबहानल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि वला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु वल्लाहु अकबर वला हौला वला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाह अलियुल अज़ीम। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी व यफ़क़हू क़ौली वक़ुल रब्बि ज़िदनी इल्मन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलिहि मुहम्मद कमा सल्लैता अला इब्राहीमा व अला आलि इब्राहीमा इन्नाका हमीदुन मजीद। अल्लाहुम्मा बारिक अला मुहम्मद व अला आलिहि मुहम्मद कमा बारिकता अला इब्राहीमा व अला आलि इब्राहीमा इन्नाका हमीदुन मजीद। Rulership in Hijaz. Ismail alayhi salam administered authority over Makkah as well as custodianship of the Kaaba throughout his lifetime. Upon his death, at the age of 137, two of his sons succeeded him, Nabith, then Kedar. It is also said that they were opposite in order. Later on, their maternal grandfather, Mudad bin Amr al-Jurhmi, took over, thus transferring rulership over Makkah to the tribe of Jurham, preserving a venerable position. Very little authority remained for Ismail's son, even though they held a sacred status, since it was their father who built the Kaaba. Time passed without the situation of the children of Ismail alayhi salam changing until the rule of Jurham declined prior to the invasion of Bakht Nasr. The political role of Adnanians had begun to gain firmer ground in Makkah, which could be clearly attested to by the fact that upon Bakht Nasr's first invasion of the Arabs in Dhati, Irq, and the leaders of the Arabs was from the Adnanians, not from Jurham. Upon Bakht Nasr's second invasion in 587 CE, however, the Adnanians were frightened out to Yemen, while the Israelite proclaimed Prophet Barkhia fled to Syria from Haran with Maad. But when Bakht Nasr's pressure lessened, Maad returned to Makkah to find none of the tribe of Jurham except Jurham bin Jalhama, whose daughter Muanna was given to Maad as wife. She later had a son by him named Nizar. On account of the difficult living conditions and poverty prevalent in Makkah, the tribe of Jurham began to treat visitors to the Kaaba poorly and seized its funds by force. This aroused resentment and the hatred of the Adnanians, sons of Bakr bin Abdmanaf bin Kinana. They, with the help of the tribe of Khuzza that had come to settle in a neighboring area called Mar az-Zahran, invaded Jurham and chased them out of Makkah. Rulership was left to Khuzza in the middle of the 2nd century CE. Upon leaving Makkah, Jurham filled up the well of Zamzam, leveled its place, and buried a great many things in it. Amir bin al-Harith bin Madad al-Jurami was reported by Ibn Ishaq to have buried the 2 gold deer of the Kaaba, together with the black stone in the Zamzam well. After sealing it up, he and those with him escaped to Yemen. Ismail's period is estimated to have lasted for 20 centuries BC. It means that the Jurham stayed in Makkah for 21 centuries and held rulership there for about 20 centuries. Upon the defeat of Jurham, the tribe of Khuzza monopolized rulership over Makkah. Mudar tribes, however, enjoyed 3 privileges. First, leading pilgrims from Arafat to Muzdalifah and during the rites at Mina on the day of sacrifice. This was the authority of the family of Al-Ghath bin Murrah, descendants of Ilyas bin Mudar, who were called Sufa. This privilege meant what the pilgrims were not allowed to throw stones at Al-Aqaba until one of the men of the Sufa did so. When they finished stoning and wanted to leave the valley of Mina, the Sufa men stood on the 2 sides of Al-Aqaba, and nobody would pass that position until the men of Sufa passed and cleared the way for the pilgrims. When the Sufa perished, the family of Saad bin Zaid Manath from the Tamim tribe inherited the responsibility. Second, Al-Ifada, leaving for Mina after Muzdalifah on the morning of the sacrifice, and this was the responsibility of the family of Adwan. Third, postponement of the sacred months, and this was the responsibility of the family of Tamim bin Adi from Bani Kinana. Khuzza's reign in Makkah lasted for 300 years, during which the Adnanians spread all over Najd and the side of Bahrain and Iraq, while small branches of the Quraysh remained on the sides of Makkah. They were Halul, Sarim, and some other families of Kinana. They enjoyed no privileges over Makkah or the sacred house until the appearance of Qusay bin Kilab. Qusay's father is said to have died when he was still a baby, and his mother subsequently married Rabia bin Haram from the tribe of Bani Udra. Rabia took his wife and her baby to his homeland on the borders of Syria. When Qusay became a young man, he returned to Makkah, which was ruled by Hulayl bin Habsha from Quzza, who gave Qusay his daughter Hubba as wife. After Hulayl's death, a war between the Quzza and the Quraysh broke out, resulting in Qusay taking hold of Makkah and the sacred house. The reasons for this war have been illustrated in 3 versions. First, due to the influence and multiplicity of his offsprings, increase of his property, and exaltation of his honor after Hulayl's death, Qusay considered himself more entitled than the tribes of Quzza and Bani Bakr to shoulder the responsibility of rulership over Makkah and custodianship of the sacred house. He also advocated that the Quraysh were the chiefs of Ismail's descendants. He consulted Quraysh and Kinana to accept Quzza and Bani Bakr from Makkah, and they supported him. Second, the Quzza claimed that Hulayl requested Qusay to hold custodianship of Kaaba and rulership over Makkah after his death. Third, Hulayl gave the right of Kaaba service to his daughter Hubba and appointed Abu Ghusban al-Khuzza to function as her agent thereof. Upon Hulayl's death, Qusay bought his right for a leather bag of wine, which aroused dissatisfaction among the men of Quzza, and they tried to keep the custodianship of the sacred house away from Qusay. The latter, however, with the help of Quraysh and Kinana, managed to take over and even to expel Quzza completely from Makkah. Whatever the truth might have been, the entire affair resulted in Sufa being deprived of their privileges. The evacuation of Quzza and Bakr from Makkah, the transfer of rulership over Makkah, and custodianship of the holy sanctuary to Qusay. The matter was resolved after fierce wars between Qusay and Quzza, inflicting heavy casualties on both sides. Reconciliation and then arbitration of Yamur bin Auf from the tribe of Bakr. His judgment entailed eligibility of Qusay rulership over Makkah and custodianship of the sacred house. Qusay's absolution of responsibility for the bloodshed of Quzza and imposition of blood money on Quzza and Banu Bakr. Qusay's reign over Makkah and the sacred house began in 440 CE and allowed him and the Quraysh after him absolute rulership over Makkah and the undisputed custodianship of the sacred house, to which Arabs from all over Arabia came to pay homage. Qusay brought his kinspeople to Makkah and allocated it to them, allowing Quraysh some dwellings there. And Nusa, the families of Safwan, Adwan, Murrah bin Auf preserved the same rights they used to enjoy before his arrival. A significant achievement credited to Qusay was the establishment of a Nadwa house, an assembly house, on the northern side of Al-Kaaba to serve as a meeting place for the Quraysh. This was very beneficial for the Quraysh because it secured unity of opinions among them and cordial solutions to their problems. Qusay enjoyed the following privileges of leadership and honor. Number 1. Presiding over Nadwa house meetings. Consultations relating to serious issues were conducted there and marriage contracts were announced. Number 2. The war standard. There could be no declarations of war except with the approval of one of his sons. Number 3. Caravan leader. He was the commander of all caravans. No caravan from Makkah could depart, be it for trade or otherwise, except under his authority or the authority of one of his sons. Number 4. Doorkeeper of the Kaaba. He was the only eligible to open its gate and was responsible for its service and protection. Number 5. Providing water for the pilgrims. They would fill basins sweetened with dates or raisins for the pilgrims visiting Makkah to drink. And number 6. Feeding pilgrims. This means making food for pilgrims who could not afford it. Qusay even imposed an annual land tax for food on the Quraysh paid at the season of pilgrimage. So quite a significant person, did a lot of things. It is noteworthy, however, that Qusay singled out Abdul Manaf, a son of his, for honor and prestige, though he was not his eldest son, who was Abduddar, and entrusted him with such responsibilities such as chairing the meetings at an Nadwa house, custody of the standard, the doorkeeping of Al-Kaaba, providing water and food for pilgrims. Due to the fact that Qusay's actions were regarded as unquestionable and his orders inviolable, his death did not give rise to conflicts among his sons. However, no sooner had Abd Manaf died, fierce in fighting between began between his sons and their cousins, the sons of Abd-Dar, which would have given rise to further conflicts and strifes among the whole tribe of Quraysh, had it not been for a peace treaty. Thereby, the posts were reallocated to reserve the rights of feeding and providing water for pilgrims for the sons of Abd Manaf, while a Nadwa house, custody of the standard and the doorkeeping of Al-Kaaba were maintained for the sons of Abd-Dar. The sons of Abd Manaf, however, cast lots of their charge. Consequently, they left the charge for providing food and water to Hashim bin Abd Manaf, upon whose death the charge was taken over by his brother Abdul Muttalib bin Abdul Manaf. After him, he was to be taken by Abdul Muttalib bin Hashim, the Prophet's grandfather. His sons assumed this position until the rise of Islam, during which Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib was in charge. Many other posts were distributed among the Quraysh for establishing the pillars of new Qusay democratic state with government offices and councils similar to those today. Some of these posts are enumerated as follows. Number 1. Casting lots for the idols were allocated to Banu Juma. Number 2. Keeping record of offers and sacrifices, settlement of disputes and relevant issues were to lie in the hands of Bani Sham. Number 3. Consultation was to go to Bani Asad. Number 4. Organization of blood money and fines was with Banu Taim. Number 5. Bearing the national banner with the Bani Umayyah. Number 6. The military institute, footmen and cavalry would be the responsibility of Banu Makhzum. Number 7. Banu Adi would function as foreign ambassadors. I'm going to stop. This is the longest video I made, so I have till far almost 17 and a half minutes. In the next video, we will do the rulership in Pan Arabia. So it looks like Qusay bin Kilab was a significant person in establishing many things in the rulership and holding the custodianship of the Kaaba. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu alayhi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi Muhammad. Kama salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim. Innaka Hamidun Majid.